The purpose of this video is just to speak a little bit about a particular type of lien, an L&I lien from the Department of Labor and Industries. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back. If not, please subscribe. Make sure you like these videos. It really helps me disseminate the information to other homeowners who need help. Okay, so a very common situation that we run into is when we're about to sell the home, whether it's a short sale or an equity sale. If you're somebody who's in default and you just want to get out of the home, or you feel like that's your last resort option, at some point you will go to sell your property. A title report will be pulled, meaning the title company will order a title report, and the title report will tell you all of the other creditors aside from your existing mortgage that have an interest in your home. This fancy word for that is called encumbrance. I call them liens. What that means is a creditor at some point will have sued you saying you owe me this money. If you either didn't reply to that lawsuit, which is the most common scenario, or you lost in some way, that creditor gets a judgment against you, and then they can do what's called liening the property, meaning they can put something on your property that basically says if this home gets sold, they get to be paid off before the home is sold. So basically it prevents the home from being sold without giving them money. That's what a lien is, and those creditors are often called lien holders or judgment holders. There are all different kinds of judgments that get attached to properties. Some of them are negotiable. So I will be making videos for other kinds of negotiable judgments. Unfortunately, with L&I liens, because they are typically issued by the state, they are not negotiable. So the first thing you can understand if you see that you have an L&I lien attached to your home is that it's not negotiable. You're not going to be able to call the state of Washington and just say like, hey, how about I give you $1,000 instead of $5,000, right? You will have to pay that off as part of the closing of the sale. The other important thing to understand is additional liens, such as L&I liens, they get paid off from the proceeds of the sale. So if you're in a situation where you're selling your home to recoup money back, meaning it's an equity sale, you will be paying the L&I lien from the proceeds of the sale. So their payoff, the amount that they're owed, goes on to your settlement statement that you will pay at closing. So it's not like you have to write them a check or give them money before closing. It can all happen simultaneously. Your escrow agent or your closing agent will handle all of that and make sure L&I gets paid. L&I liens are typically residual money left over from workers' compensation claims. So I don't know how this works in the other states, so this is relevant to Washington. But in Washington, if you file a workers' comp claim, oftentimes you can start receiving money before the claim gets fully adjudicated. If you lose your claim or if something gets adjusted, there might be money that you have to pay back that you were already paid. And so a lot of times these L&I judgments are that exact situation where L&I, Labor and Industries, paid you money, then your case was finalized, and then in some way you have to pay money back. When you don't do that, then they go through the process of suing you and putting a lien on your property. So that's what it is. It's not negotiable. It does need to be paid at closing if it's showing up on a title report as attached to your house. So the goal, if you have an L&I lien, is to get L&I to give you a statement. It's called a payoff statement, and it tells you this is how much is owed, right? Escrow or closing will not be able to close a real estate transaction unless they have in writing the amount that you owe on the home. Sounds easy enough, right? You should think it would be easy to just pick up the phone, call someone at the department and say, hey, I need a payoff statement. Unfortunately, this is one of the most difficult types of liens to get payoff statements for. There's a few reasons for that. After your L&I claim has been closed for over a year, information in L&I system in Washington tends to transfer and become not accessible to a lot of the people who work on the front end of the phones. So if you have an older L&I lien, chances are talking to someone who just answers the phone in the department, they might not be able to see the information. That's challenge number one. Challenge number two is there isn't a particular person at the Department of Labor and Industries who's responsible for the payoffs. There's no payoff person. And so you often get shuffled around to multiple different people who's not really responsible for giving you that. And so the people on the other end, no knock on them, but the people on the other end often aren't motivated to get you what you need quickly. And as you know, if you're trying to close a real estate transaction, time is 100% of the essence for you to be able to get this number back quickly. So I'm just going to run through a few things, strategies that I do to kind of speed up the process and help you get these payoff statements back from L&I as quickly as possible. So the number one thing is I push back hard on being transferred to voicemails. So typically what will happen is you'll call, you'll tell them what you need, and then they'll say, okay, great, I'm gonna send you to this person's voicemail. I always go, ooh, you know what? Thank you so much. However, this is a very time-sensitive matter. And then you wanna explain what is time-sensitive about the matter. You wanna tell them, hey, I'm trying to close a sale of my home. I have a buyer under contract and all these parties waiting. This is the last thing that we need. And so it's not really going to work for me to go to somebody's voicemail. Is there anyone else in the department who might be able to take my call now? That's something you can say. So showing a little bit of resistance to being transferred to a voicemail oftentimes will get you transferred to somebody who can help you. If they say there isn't, or there's only one person, you can leave a first voicemail, but I always like to push back once and just say, hey, this is important. Is there anyone else that can help me? Be kind to them, get them on your side, and they might be able to get you to somebody who can help you. The other thing that you want to do is you want to make sure you're explaining what you need correctly. And so you just want to get the terminology correctly. So what you're looking for is a payoff statement, and you want to tell them the reason why you want the payoff statement. Most people are more motivated to help you if they know that they're going to recoup money in return. And so you want to tell them, hey, good news, I'm trying to pay you. I have money coming out of a real estate transaction that I want to give you for the closing of this sale. So phrasing it correctly, saying, I have money to pay you. As soon as I receive this payoff statement, the real estate transaction will close. Please help me out and get me this payoff statement. You also want to make it sound simple. And so I always tell them like, hey, all I need is a written documentation of the payoff amount. And you can tell them, you can just have a representative send that to me in an email. So anything you can do to let them know, they don't have to do a formal document. Really, all you need is just something in writing from the creditor to show escrow confirming what the amount is. So if you can convince somebody that it might be easier for them to send you an email instead of drafting an entire letter, that might help you get the payoff statement a little bit faster. After you make your initial request, it might be on a voicemail, or you might receive someone's email that you can email, or you might talk directly to someone. Call every day. You can pretty much expect that requests for payoff statements with the Department of L&I is not going to be somebody's top priority. It's not their job. And so you want to be friendly, but you want to be persistent. I call it kind of relentless. You call them every day. Basically, the best way for them to get you to stop calling them every day would be to give you the number that you need. If you can isolate somebody's email address, that's the person that you need to be talking to. At times, the Department of L&I is a little hesitant to give out individual employees' email addresses, but if you are able to get an email address of someone, that's your person. And then until you receive that payoff statement, you should be calling that person every day. My last little comment about getting L&I Lien payoff statements is that you need to watch their expiration. So typically they're not going to be issued for more than 30 days. So if you request a payoff statement, you'll get a payoff statement, it'll be good for 30 days. Now you need to track your closing time frame. As long as your closing can happen within that 30-day period, that payoff statement will be valid. But sometimes things happen with real estate transactions, closings get delayed. If your closing is getting delayed, it is possible that that payoff statement will be expired by the time you close. And then if you're not paying attention, you got to go all the way back through that process, which you don't want to do. So you need to track it. So let's just say it's March 1st, you get a payoff statement that expires on whatever, March 30th. If you know on the 20th of March that your closing is happening on April 1st, that should be the time that you start calling and trying to get an updated payoff statement, because you don't want to run into this issue where everybody's ready to close and then it takes you another 3 or 4 days to get a payoff statement. If you're in Washington and you need help or want to talk about an L&I lien, give me a call. Happy to help.